Well, it is what it is with Ronda Rousey too. I got to at least put this on your radar. She's been doing a lot of publicity and doing some interviews. She's promoting her new book, as I understand it, and man, she's just letting it rip, Tater Chip. And she said some pretty pointed things. Specifically, it's hard sometimes know where the evil, unethical slimeball character of Vince McMahon, played out for the camera, ends. An actual questionably ethical, many times sued and multiple times accused of sexual misconduct, Vince McMahon begins. Pay-per-view events are held in major cities like New York, Los Angeles, and Philadelphia, as well as now twice a year in Saudi Arabia, a nation that restricts the rights of women in a way that I'm certain Vince McMahon wishes he could. WWE bills itself as a sports entertainment organization, and just like in the mainstream entertainment industry, it was by all accounts a casting couch culture where men backstage in powerful positions pressured female talent for sexual favors in return for airtime. In MMA, I originally just started them for publicity, talking about feuds. But those other bitches did not get the memo, so they became personal. And in WWE, it's all fake. I love them, except for Bruce Pritchard and John Laurinaitis. They can go fuck themselves. She had a lot of other comments where she talked about, that she didn't like Bruce and felt like Bruce, was she's just not a Bruce fan. And she was specific about saying that Johnny Ace, maybe she implied that there was a cutoff. He wasn't interested in recruiting women who were working the independent circuit. He wanted girls who would maybe been blonde-haired women from Tennessee or Florida. I don't know if that's specifically referencing someone or not, but she certainly indicated that she has no interest in going back, and she can't deal with the media.
That's good.
Blah, blah, blah. But she was very complimentary, and I mean very complimentary of Triple H. But she also said that when Stephanie slapped her, she got a concussion, and she felt like she couldn't speak up. I mean, I don't know if she's intending to go scorched earth, but it seems like every day she's got another headline. I'm sure you've seen them. What do you make of all this?
It leaves a bad. I've never had a real high opinion of Ronda anyway. I mean, in MMA I did. I really, really enjoyed watching her, and nothing but respect for her background in judo and the fact that she transitioned into MMA and did really well for a while. But when she got knocked out by Holly Holmes, that was it. That changed her dramatically. And even her character, her personality, her character in UFC, she was kind of she was just whiny. And when they brought her into WWE and made her a baby face, it didn't make sense to me because she's not a baby face. She's just she's a much, much better heel. But they wanted to cast her as a babyface. It was it was a square peg in a round hole for Ronda because she's not a performer. She's not an actress, although she's done some acting and she's learning and she's getting better. But for the most part, she's an athlete trying to become a performer, or at least she was in WWE at that point. And she wasn't able to pull it off. So number one, she was miscast. And I never really felt like she really wanted to be there. I always had this feeling, doesn't mean I'm right about it, but it was just my feeling that she was just she was in it for the payday. She wasn't really passionate about what she was doing. I think when Holly Holmes knocked her out, she lost her passion for just about everything, and she was there for the money. That was my impression, however right or wrong it may be. And to hear this all now, it just sounds so bitter and so angry that I kind of feel the way I felt about her when she lost to Holly Holmes in UFC, when she just came out and was just bitchy about it. Look, you get knocked out, and she got knocked the fuck out. I've been there. I know how that feels. It is not a great feeling, especially when you go back and watch it over and over and over again and know that the world is watching it over and over again. But I think something changed and again, I've never said a word, never had a word conversation with her, so I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but it's just the way I feel, the vibe I get from her. I think she's a bitter, angry woman. And hopefully she'll sell a lot of books because I think she's burying herself as much as anybody else. That's my vibe.
I don't think for a second that she needed the money. She was watching wrestling way back when the Shield broke up, and her friends posted her reaction to it. I mean, she is a big time wrestling fan, and I think her experience was less than awesome. But almost everybody has a similar story about working with Vince. I mean, even AJ Styles came out and recently said, I wish all those other guys in these other companies would realize this is a new WWE. This isn't the same WWE. And I would have loved to have seen what this version of WWE could have done with Ronda, but position her as a heel. I agree with you. I think she was miscast as a babyface. You're asking her to do something that's out of her wheelhouse. You know, if you go back and you study the way she built feuds, for lack of a better word, in MMA, she was the heel. Now, she was dominant, so people love to see that. They love to see a winner. I mean, there was a time where you just knew armbar submission first round, can't stop it. Like, here it comes. And then, of course, as you said, she lost, and maybe the bloom was off the rose, and maybe the bloom's off the rose for wrestling for now. But mark my words, Ronda Rousey will be back in WWE. I'm not saying necessarily wrestling, but she's going in the Hall of Fame. She's going to be around. It's a whole new ball game with Vince and others out. I think she'll be back. I don't think this is over. I think she likes it. If she didn't like it, I don't know that she would still be talking about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, she'd be talking about if she wants to sell a book.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. I for one, am a Ronda fan. I felt like she, certainly we didn't get the best of Ronda, but I don't know that that's necessarily her fault. And let's also appreciate she was really thrown to the wolves. A guy like Kurt Angle was afforded the opportunity to get reps and learn and get better and then get on TV. She's learning in front of us. It is a different thing when you're immediately on TV right away and judged by that. So we'll see if she really has a long-term passion for it or not. But boy, people are talking about it, and I'm curious to see, what the next quote is going to be. It feels like every time I log in, there's another statement from Ronda. Do you think we will see any other future crossover? I mean, clearly we saw Michael Chandler a few weeks ago calling out Conor McGregor at a Monday Night Raw. We know the history of Ronda in the UFC, and certainly Brock Lesnar and CM Punk and a bunch of others. Bobby Lashley was in MMA, but not UFC. You get the idea. Do you think there will be more of this crossover? Do you think there will be UFC stars in some capacity at WrestleMania?
At WrestleMania or in WrestleMania?
At this year's WrestleMania,
yeah, I do, I do, and I'm here for it. I think that's great. Sure, we will. I think I've read comments from executives in UFC talking about, having talent at some of the bigger events and all that. So I think for sure, celebrities, and a lot of these fighters are legit celebrities in their world. So I think, of course, you will. As far as seeing, UFC fighters transition into WWE, I'm sure that we will at some point, but I don't think it's going to become any more frequent than it was before the merger. I think some people are going to be really interested in doing it and able to do it, and some won't. We'll see it. I was following the news on my 40-hour trek to get home, and there's some great looking talent coming out of the NCAA wrestling finals going on right now, or that went on over the weekend. The super heavyweight, can't remember his name right now. I think he weighed 265 or 285. Looks like he was right out of central casting for a wrestling movie. Big budget wrestling. It looks great. If someone like that spends a little bit of time in UFC, makes that transition, definitely. I could see another Kurt Angle coming out of the woodwork, but I don't think we're going to see a lot of it.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what's next with WrestleMania, because it feels like it's getting to a fever pitch. I mean, we've heard that they were trying to do something with Sylvester Stallone, and there's no telling what other crossover we're going to see at this year's WrestleMania.